here, and we have my brother who is another YouTuber, Maneater of Sabo. So tell us a little bit about what your channel is going to be and stuff like that, since you're just getting started out, and we're going to start doing collabs and things like that.
Kind of the overarching idea of the channel, I think, is just to uh, filming a grown Midwestern guy having fun. I've done everything from in my life, from gunsmithing to martial arts to you know uh, just a little bit of everything that somebody from this neck of the woods has done. And um just kind of try to put a comedic spin on most of it, just because uh
Taking yourself to
my
just
my theory is that comedy makes the shit sandwiches go down easier.
right, yeah. I mean,
And as somebody, if I was a Marvel superhero, my superpower would be the ability to eat shit sandwiches, and even consecutive shit sandwiches.
right. I mean, honestly, that's how I
My
get through.
back is made out of rubber. I shit, I fall back in it, I bounce back up again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I medicate with humor, and that's how I get through the workday and just crap in my life. I mean, that's we're definitely similar in that. And obviously we had our collab video just chopping down various random trees back there by the Sawyer Mansion a
Which
couple of
I've never done before, which was incredibly fun. Just whacking and talking trash, man. I mean, that really was more fun than I've had doing anything in a really long time.
yeah. Sometimes you got to hankering for a little bit of shit talking.
Oh yeah, yeah, without doubt.
So we got my admin here, Alpha Omega Survival Supply. Good dude. What's up, man?
Awesome.
Uh, I I, ass-
Hello, sir.
I assume you're dealing with the snow like we are, bro. Just got heaters blowing and stuff put back. But so we hopped on here just kind of impromptu tonight and wanted to talk about the most recent ice shoot today. In the last couple of hours, I've become aware of it and watched some video, and I'm largely in favor of ice. I think
Yeah.
most of these people that are getting hauled off need to go back home. I have a little bit of mercy for I guess you could say the kids that were basically born and then brought here and lived 30 years here. I mean, I think we can have a conversation about that type of thing. But as far as just the average illegals that are up here, any kind of criminal, Tren de Aragua or whatever kind of crap like that. If there is anything that isn't squeaky clean that crossed the border after they were of age to know better, you know, all of them need to go back. So I'm ISIS
Right.
voted for largely, and I've been pretty hard on the Orange Man, and I think fairly so. But I voted for most of
R-
what's as far as the
Right.
but the shoot today. I mean, I think the Renee Good thing was a clean shoot. That was deserved, and that was just a FIFO situation. You know what I mean, or a
Right.
out situation. But this one, and it's early on right now, but what footage I've seen, it looks like a bad shoot. And I know that you looked at footage, and
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So right after this, as always happens during, because you don't want to let how does the saying go? You don't want to let a good chaos go to waste, or
right,
whatever it was.
Eric Holder.
Eric Holder, right? Okay, so right away, the DOJ comes out with their thing about how this guy, he had a gun and he was coming to cause maximum damage with his Sig 226 or whatever it was. But the very first footage that I actually saw in this deal, he was being accosted by one of the ICE agents, and he had a camera in his hand.
Yeah,
Like this, he didn't walk up there, Billy the Kid style with his fucking Sig 226 in his hand.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, from what
Uh
I've just seen the initial clips that are coming out, and some of it slowed down by Black Scout Survival and who's the other guy? I sent you a screenshot of his. He's another gun tuber. I don't know why. Always making a lot of sales and crap. Either way, he'd had a thought on it too. But just like the guy was already on the ground. It looks like the guy in the gray jacket pulls the guy's gun and is
Yeah,
walking.
yeah, he has it in his hand before the gunshot goes off.
Yeah, he the guy's completely disarmed before he starts taking rounds, and that's a bad shoot in my opinion. Now there may be another angle, and he may have been trying something, and we may be completely proven wrong, and I hope that's the case because I know that
Right.
Republicans are already running to justify this in a lot of ways, and I guess I'm registered a Republican. I hate to even call myself one at this point, not because I'm some retarded leftist, but because Republicans are shitty too. But like
Right.
the average person is thin blue lining it right now as if because it's even okay if the guy was unarmed before he got shot. Well, by God, you mess around, you find out, and this no, that's how you erode the Second Amendment is by making uh, considerations that are bogus and anti-constitutional in favor of the thin blue line when it was shitty police work.
Right. Right. Well, okay, so you obviously can't see who, put the bullet in the guy, but you see the dude in the gray jacket, okay? So he comes in there's something is on the ground there in the footage that he kicks away. Whatever that is, I have no clue. And then it looks like he gets involved and then he is turning away with a pistol. I don't know if it's that dude's pistol, but a pistol in his hand. Okay, how? And then the dude in the gray that kicked the thing and has a pistol in his hand comes skittering back across. Nobody else is like running away from the scene except for this guy,
Right,
which looks strange to me.
dude, and there was some
Like he just got away with taking some, like he got away with stealing something or something. I mean,
well
just
that
just the way that he comes in thing with the gun, the pow, and then he's running back across the street like he,
right,
like Macaulay Culkin at the that just stole the toothbrush from from the drugstore there.
right. What's up, Sam Russell? But yeah, dude, it doesn't look good, and I think that we're at a point now where the average Republican is going to be making excuses when if you look at some of the initial footage of like this is like cell phone stuff across the street, you can see the guy in the gray jacket run off, you can hear pow pow afterwards, and then you hear a couple of cops being like, "What the hell was that?" Like berating somebody for pulling the trigger. So
Right.
there's a dirty shoot. I really do think that's what it is. I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he's
but
gonna go to prison.
right, but all being optics, okay? Because again, even authority, okay? The old saying that like power perceived is power achieved, and that's what authority really amounts to. As long as we all agree that this person is in charge, then they're in charge. If everybody agrees they're not in charge anymore, then they're no longer in charge. Okay. And so that's when you get into the optics of things and hence the immediate explanation for why this entire thing went down was this nurse showed up with a gun. Doc Holliday. He's fixing to clean the street. Maximum damage, I think, in quotations, was the DOJ's.
That's
And I
big
don't know
help.
because we've seen from the Vegas shooter to whoever, they come up with these what they think are brilliantly thought out explanations and things for why this went down because this person did this.
Yeah, as some sort of like, oh, well, we had this intel, and we have no way of verifying whether that was just made up crap, like what I consider the text from the Charlie Kirk shooter and his boyfriend. I think that shit was made up. We don't have
Oh, well, dude, okay, and then yeah, that guy. Okay, so there's so many things there. I could spin off on that for an hour and a half by itself. But anyway, so similarly to the he writes all these scratches, all these putting names on bullets. Little skinny knock kneed white kid Sicario out here putting names on bullets. On Full Metal Jacket bullets, but then allegedly uses a frangible round so that it won't exit the neck, which is I mean, dude, there's
it,
yeah, come on.
dude, Sam Run
Come
said
on.
maximum damage is a vaccinated statement, and I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, but maximum damage. Okay, and now the footage is if that footage was a little bit clearer, I could tell you if the pistol in that cop's hand is a pistol that we were shown as the shooter's gun or the victim's gun.
I,
Because because I remember that we went through a spree here from not it wasn't Columbine, it was the Sandy Hook. Right around that time, there were all of these shootings, mass shootings, and they were all done with Bushmaster. Everything was a Bushmaster. They were all Bushmasters, right?
yeah, with white.
Okay. Well, then here a while back we went to all Mausers, right? Everything was a Mauser. Everybody had a Mauser. They were getting Mausers to shoot at people with. It's really interesting how just taking note of these little little patterns and things like that. That the math, it's definitely Common Core math for sure.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I just think that where we're at now, we're being lied to on a daily basis from both sides.
are we
Um,
getting anything except being lied to? I
r-
don't think so.
right. I just feel like this is another situation where the Dan Bonginos of the world are going to justify
Oh my god.
and blue line it, and
Okay, so Dan, yeah, yes, Dan working for the administration on the outside Bongino.
yeah,
Okay, that's all that he is. He was kicked back out as okay, you're going to represent the administration, but from your platform now because you obviously we need you out here. People can see that the king has no clothes on, and we need you to represent back out here in the streets.
right.
Only
Yeah, Bongino Sean,
people.
that's what I call him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, dude. People see through your horse shit, and not anybody's believing or cares to see. Dude, I would be curious if he like his viewer count or whatever. Honestly, would there really? I mean, are any of them real? Or are they farming him? Does the government have one of these huge data center or AI centers just and bots are the only thing actually watching him? I don't know because the dude has zero credibility. They're gonna him and Patel are gonna put heads on pikes and all these things, and then gets in there and does absolutely nothing but defends doing absolutely nothing, and then comes out and attacks people for questioning, doing absolutely nothing. I don't know.
Well, in an interview, he said he did bow the knee to Israel and then basically click up with Mark Levin as soon as he got out. I mean,
Oh my god.
still drawing a check from the government for sure. It's just a check.
Yeah.
They needed Dan to go back and talk to people to get them to line up with Netanyahu. That's what I think happened to Dan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw his video pop up yesterday, and I was like, I didn't know I was still subscribed, so I went over there and left one last comment, and I was like, I didn't realize I was still subscribed. I fixed that problem. Yeah, that's Bongino. But yeah, something about this shooter though. Um, and this isn't to bag on all the Jews, but again, this guy is clearly Jewish from what I can tell. And I saw Laura Loomer, which I don't even know if that's a man or a woman, on Twitter. Talking
A
crap,
department store dummy without genitals. Yes.
dude. She looks like Jigsaw without the makeup. Like that. That. they them looks like Jigsaw without the makeup. But yeah, I think that because she was throwing a bunch of stank on the situation with this shooter, in defense of ICE, which I would largely defend ICE, but just I was
Oh
thinking
yeah,
if
yeah.
she figured out that that guy was most likely Jewish, she's probably going to completely do a 180 reverse
Oh,
on it.
right. Oh, you know it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm not against ICE. I'm against abuse, and I'm against, because like I said, our government is the one that brought all of these people in here, problem reaction solution. Now they have the solution of getting these people back out of here, and all of it somehow is going to cost us more money and lead to less freedom,
It
you
really
know.
out that Obama has more deportations under his belt and than Trump, and by the time Trump's out of office, I still think that's going to be the case. Like this,
Right.
that's another that's another for sure dead giveaway. That's the space peanut dead giveaway that this is manufactured crisis because none of these people that were on the streets trying to riot now were doing that under Obama. None of them,
Right.
yeah, the kids in cages to Obama. When it started, that's who built it. So this is again more of the Cloward and Piven, collapse the system type of thing, and it's synthetic.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it's definitely synthetic. We're gonna have an episode of Far Cry here in the United States at some point. I think. You
Yeah,
know,
Far Cry. Well, hopefully it's Far Cry 5. I like that one the best.
I'm looking for a square body Chevy. That's what I would like.
Right, right.
But yeah, but
Yep, yep. They start up they fire up the draft and it's like, I'm sorry, sir. I currently am enlisted in the Lord's army and
right,
currently awaiting deployment. I am not eligible for your military, sir.
right. But yeah,
Oh,
just on the subject of good games, though, I know you play games and I play games and all that jazz, but like, I would have to say in terms of Far Cry games, 5 is right there at the pinnacle of gaming as far as
yeah, definitely.
yeah, 5
D-
and then 3 is always a classic. I love 3
right. Yeah, if McDonald County was in the middle of mountains, that would be Far Cry 5, I think.
with more meth, but yeah. And
Yeah,
instead of the weed that you can get on the second selection of enhancers for combat, it would be meth.
right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you would have to, you'd have to smoke the weed out of a smashed Pepsi can or something, and yeah.
roaches only. That's the currency in the game because
And
it's
you
it.
gotta dig them out of somebody's ashtray in their car, yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for the freebie.
and we know of a guy that did that. He's no longer with us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
at the local go picking up cigarette butts with like a quarter inch of tobacco left. Man, that
Alpha Omega Survival has a good comment there. If Minneapolis cooperated with the federal officials and handed over illegals, this wouldn't be happening. That's true. But they're all part of the same dude here. Okay, here's my take. This is what I think the government amounts to in its entirety. I think that all of these, I mean, even at the state level, okay, because okay, you have to have. I heard this on a podcast just today or yesterday, and they were talking about, about having to have $1 billion to be president, to run for president. You have to have $500 million to run for senate or whatever. Okay, why? Because people are watching fucking ads? No, where's this money going to? Who are you paying? Whose money are you putting this? Whose hand are you putting this money in so that you can be considered for the spot?
right.
You
You
know, um,
money from. We do have a good record of that. If you look at the APAC tracker, there is at least the hand that's extending money that we have seen pretty regularly, especially on both sides. You know,
Right.
that's the one thing that Babylon agrees on is that we have to support the nation of Israel,
Yeah.
the the country of Israel, not the nation of Israel. Let's be clear.
Yeah, that's two different things. Here's the
Yeah,
thing, yeah, okay, it's just like I saw this meme on Facebook, and I rarely comment on stuff like this, but it was they were trying to make some put out some poignant message or what, and it showed Jesus with the Star of David on his chest, and my comment was, you put the Star of Red. Okay, let's. There is no Star of David.
yeah.
Okay, 5.6 point. There's no Star of David. There's no star that. That's a Star of Remphan. We're talking Moloch. You put the Star of Remphan on Jesus's chest. That's all that anybody needs to know about anything that you have to say.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah,
You put the you put the symbol for a pagan god on Jesus's chest.
right.
No longer open for discussion. I don't even care what you have to say. I don't care if you're handing out, 2 for 1 bean burrito coupons for Taco Bell or anything at that point. I'm done. I don't need to hear anything you have to say.
It's like that episode of King of the Hill where Hank's trying to go get a haircut and his regular barber's gone and he walks into the hair salon and Spice Girls is playing and so he immediately turns and walks back out.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. a
uh,
hundred percent. But
uh, Crap. So on the video game front, let's break into some. We've talked about
Ye-
how fake and gay the government is, and that this is probably more
oh yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Let me make my final point on that. I got lost because I do that. I run off on trails and then forget where the original breadcrumbs were. The okay, I think all of these politicians, I think that they're what Universal Studios affectionately refers to as scare actors. Okay, in this Halloween horror nights of a fucking reality we live in here, and they're just there to validate that this whole thing is real to us, is their entire job. And that's why, they're like, people's like, well, I think the reason why nothing gets done or all these other things get done is, it's nothing but coincidence and incompetence, don't you know? I don't think it's incompetence at all. They're
don't you?
not fucking working for us. They're
Right.
perfectly competent. They're doing the exact job that they're meant to do, that they were hired to do, which is not working for us. There's no, I don't think it's incompetence at all, you
Well,
know?
and
And
that's
so,
it with conservative influencers. It's central casting. They're just
yeah, scare actors.
I think that Brandon Tatum is probably somebody from central casting. I think Erica Kirk is somebody from central casting. You know,
Yeah, 100%. Scare
yeah,
actors, absolutely. But yeah, validating that the haunted house is real. You get a vote every 4 years, but we ain't giving a fuck about what you say then either. Because the and you can go into all of the elementary school stuff about why we have to have an electoral college, and if we didn't, California would just vote the whole damn thing. They would just win the whole thing and all this stuff. But it's interesting, the electoral college, as far as I'm aware of, it's not a college you can go to. You have no idea who these people are.
dude.
It's this complete ghost entity out here that needs to do the real vote on our behalf in case we're too stupid to vote for the person that the Wizard of Oz wants to put in. And then they do that, right? So you don't get to see any kind of real numbers on who actually voted for what. Okay. And so, it's the big vote day, everybody. Everybody goes, cast your ballot, do your patriotic duty, right? Cast your ballot. And well, and then this person won, and who, there's no avenue to be like, I want to actually see, like verify that this is even true, that America wanted this, you know
Well, and
and
even
it goes back to the one that was stolen, right? When well, we watched Donald Trump winning, and then all of a sudden they, okay, so for my entire life, we you knew before you went to bed who the president was, which that's kind of kind of interesting too. But all of the sudden, you know, that particular one didn't work that way. And you could see this nifty little graph where Donald Trump's winning, and then they quit counting, and then they wake back up in an hour or whatever it is, and and Biden is at least a margin, the margin above Donald Trump that Trump was above him, and then this thing continues on past that to his victory. Now, forget little details like you have these media outlets that were talking about this red mirage beforehand, that this is how this was going to play out before it actually played out. You know, but
Right.
yeah,
I
yes,
think
yes,
that going forward, I don't think that we can hope for any kind of like meaningful repair either. I mean, we voted in the orange man again this time, I guess, and all of the
right,
like I remember saying this before this last election that like we're gonna vote this guy in. If we're lucky, we're gonna get 30% of what we voted for. And then it's gonna go back to the other side and they're gonna at least reduce 20% of the 30% that we got. And it's
right.
just slow walking and incrementally getting people okay with it. I mean, Trump's signing us on to Palantir AI freaking surveillance of eh,
But they have to, because if they don't, then the bad guys are going to, right? Or at least that's the pitch.
right,
If
yeah,
if
yeah,
if our government doesn't sign us up for absolute Skynet, I mean, you know, all the way to the back of your teeth, then the bad guys are going to.
yeah.
That's
Well,
the pitch.
what Putin might be giving us Skynet instead of China, or you know,
Right.
but I am coming to the conclusion that Vladimir Putin probably isn't half as bad as we've been told.
No, not at all. No, there's without going into too much crazy detail, there's a lot of speeches in history that if you listen to the English versions of those speeches, they're not saying what you think they are or what maybe they we were even told they were, you know.
Right.
So
Alpha.
so likely Vladimir Putin isn't talking about how horrific the how horrific the American people are, and how he pines for the day that he can just turn us all into ashes,
Right.
like we're supposed to believe that he says.
I think we're all in agreement with this comment here that Alpha and Omega Survival Supply wrote. Is like there's no fixing this thing. It's circling the bowl and leaving skids everywhere. Eventually, it will go completely down. And I think that's exactly what is destined to happen.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah, I think so.
perspective or just seeing the writing on the wall from the secular American Western understanding of the way things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why, dude. At one point, I was a gung ho guy during and this is back during the George Floyd thing. When it was even getting close to here. In Joplin and down in Arkansas, and I would get pretty worked up, and I wanted to go fight these people, like
Y-
fist fight them in the street. But at this point, I'm like, you know, I'm just not, kind of like with the vids, like I'm just not participating.
yeah,
You can't, yeah, you can't firebomb me if I'm not there to firebomb or whatever.
right.
You can't
It,
here
it,
you can't collateral damage me if I'm not in the area to collateral damage.
right. And as far as dealing with immediate threats, and I think that that's in our locale is what we really need to be concerned about. And when that happens, we need to be willing to go further, faster, and leave.
That's it.
You know,
That's it. That's it. See, and that's where like you get beyond the fake tough guy thing that everybody grew up with. Okay, the dude, the most dangerous guy is not the one that's the biggest or the strongest or the fastest or the one with the most toys. It's the dude that's willing to go the furthest, the fastest.
right.
That's the most dangerous dude in the room. You
With
know,
right,
and
see that it's coming. You need to be
right.
further, faster, and be at peace with it. You know, I think that there's a righteous way to go about that and a wrong way to go about that, you know.
There is.
But you know,
Well, okay, getting into just a little bit of gear, and this is just my thoughts, just because it made me think of, what we're talking about. Just made me think about this is, there's in the gun community, it's pretty generally accepted that, you have the boomers that think that revolvers are better than semi-autos because they're more reliable, which they are not.
preach
And I
it,
mean,
by God.
unless you're talking, brand specific, there's some junk out there, but generally, one is just as good as the other. They're both tools. If you're going somewhere to do a lot of work, you need a lot of nails. If you're going somewhere to, if let's say if there was a bad uh, uh, a watermelon with rabies running around the city, right? Well, you would want to use a revolver for something like that. Why? Because then you're not spraying brass all over the ground for some watermelon detective to come and scoop up. You know, in that case, a revolver is better than a semi-auto. I don't know. Just
Right,
my thoughts. I don't know.
right. You know, I don't know. Let's get into some ideas for content. I
Yeah,
know.
dude, you've tried to get into games, and I just keep bringing it right on back, don't I?
Hey, sometimes the state needs to be stumped into the waffle of our boot, and just the narrative, dude. That
The
because it's
narrative, right?
stopped.
Not 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 physically, not literally, metaphorically.
Mr. Ipkiss. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
the amount of narrative that I feel like I've had to endure from like 2020 to now, I'm
Oh,
full.
dude.
I'm just
Oh, yeah. Well, you
I
take you
oh,
take
huh?
take back during COVID, dude. I listened to, man, I couldn't even start to tell you at this point, but I had a list, and I was up to like in the 50s and 60s. As far as like scientists, virologists, vaccinologists, like you just go on microbiology all down the list, right? Of these scientists and doctors I listen to on podcasts, hours, 2 3 hours each. I mean, we're talking probably way over 100 hours of this stuff at the time, when they were all saying the exact same thing. Well, also paying attention to, again, how the narrative shifts and goes on. To start with that thing, um, you if you had some symptoms, then and then it went to more symptoms, and then it went to every symptom is a symptom of it, and then it went to having no symptoms is also a symptom of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then there were also the neat little add-ons of, if you're over 6 feet tall, if you can smell secondhand smoke, you're in COVID's crosshairs. If you have German descent, if the toilet in your apartment or office shares plumbing with another toilet in the same office or apartment, then and then you saw where they were personifying it like a Disney villain, you
oh
know.
yeah,
We're fighting it, but it's fighting back even harder, you
yeah.
know.
What's the I used to call it the super hyper cop killer COVID variant. Just
Right.
razor blade throat. That was the newest one. They proffered that bullshit this year. The
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that, the razor throat, right?
that reminds me
Yeah.
of like black Talon bullets in the '90s that were like, you know what I'm talking about? They were like
Yeah,
black.
they were actually they were actually Winchester Rangers or something, because they still sell the same thing, it's just not black.
Yeah, yeah,
But those were cop killers. They would shoot through bulletproof vests. Well, let me tell you something. Me and my father-in-law were shooting at the little 20-pound propane tanks one day,
yeah,
and and I have my Glock 20 with me, which is 10 mil, and I was zinging through that thing, and he had his, and he was really gonna show me something. He had like a half a dozen of these black talons that he's been holding on to since the 80s, I guess, just in case. And
oh
dude,
gee,
I mean, that little that thing didn't even break the surface. I mean, it made a dent and knocked some paint off, and that's all the better that it did. That 10 mil penetrated way, radically compared to that black Talon 9 millimeter. But yeah,
I
at the time, that was the big thing. It
I
was it was the cop killer.
when we went out to Shane's and we were all shooting up that van and put, this before we put the Tannerite under the hood and was shooting that with like an AK or
Yeah,
whatever. But I
yeah,
for your 10 mil going through both sides of a van consistently, you know.
yeah. With hollow point ammunition, yeah, yeah. Shooting, I think it was Underwood 180 grain uh, gold dots or something like that. Yeah, yeah,
we got
yeah. It would zing through through both doors and a seat and come out the other side. Yeah.
right. So we got Last Huntsman Outdoors in the chat. He's the one that hooked me up with that freaking work tough gear night hunter that we did a bunch of chopping on.
Oh man,
He's
that thing was something.
retards with. So thanks.
That knife. Okay, that knife was like, I don't know if everybody has seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, the best one, but that giant, I don't even know what model of steel that was, that big giant chrome and brassed out one that said the saw is family. Like that that's the knife equivalent of that saw right there.
Yeah, it really is. There's also Bobby Bama. I know he subbed to you. He's in the
Oh,
chat.
cool, cool.
Bama. He's a good dude.
Yeah. Hey, we're all cool dudes here.
We're all dude. No, anyway, the night hunter is the shit for sure. We need to probably take that out and do that idea you was talking about, like find a consistent two sections of a log, and I'll take the night hunter and you take the go lock, and we just see which one goes through. And obviously, it's not going to be an exact science, but it'll still be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing. I want to figure out a way to maybe source a little bit thicker, because as I get rolling with my channel, I want to cut. I don't want to cut sprouts. I want to cut stupid stuff that you shouldn't even be cutting with a knife. Like that's the stuff I want to cut with a knife. Is it practical? I don't know. But
Right.
if you can hack through a 14-inch log or tree with it and cut it down with a freaking knife, that's I don't know that it proves anything, but it sounds funny to me.
We got Modern Frontierman in here, and Kinnard guy. That's last husband's brother. He said he was
Cool, cool.
bring out the Aries. Dude, if you haven't looked at the Work Tough Gear Aries, dude, that's like the sexiest knife I've ever seen. As far as like, if I had money to buy something right now of my choice, it would be that. That thing looks so badass.
Well, see, that's how the Wilson is for me. The Work Tough Wilson. I I'll own that at some point. Um, just because it's that's just my style. It looks like a fucking like a like a crocodile on the end of a handle to me. I don't know. There's just something about that style. And then the Calpachi, that is a that is a that's a sweet little chocolate bar right there, man. That will be my EDC, the Calpachi.
Right on. But yeah, I need to at some point just start like putting money back for higher quality blades. I've been buying all the cheap shit that I can find that's huge, but I need to just
Right, right.
taking a little patience and buying some more high quality stuff to start whacking with.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Me, okay, and to speak to that at the same time, dude, you know as well as I do, as far as like with guns and stuff, right? I've always been I've spent idiotic money, special ordering, having stuff made, stuff like that, and I'm not against that, dude. It's if you have the money for that second kind of cool and stuff like that, that's amazing. But also, you know, I've come to the point where you can do the exact same thing with a whole lot less if you're inclined to as well,
Yeah,
you
but
know?
it is still cool.
Right, right.
Modern Frontierman's said I was looking so hot in this shemagh. I thought so. That's why I got the assholes all Man, we gotta, gotta keep the pimp hand strong up in here.
Right, right. I'm just wearing this Duluth hoodie I got from a Salvation Army. Dude, this thing is like wearing an entire okay, this thing what I don't know what Star Wars movie it was, but there was one where Luke Skywalker cut open some giant two-legged thing and crawled inside of it. And this hoodie is like that, like wearing that. This son of a bitch weighs as much as a wet comforter.
Right?
But it's stupid. It's idiotically warm. It really is.
Dude,
Heavy, heavy, but
I like heavy shirts and clothes. Like this flannel is like, it's really dense. This brand, like, like you've seen, I wear like those Club Pro freaking. There's no gangster logos on them, but they're those tall freaking. You find it like the Chinese misspelled clothing discount clothing store in Springdale. That
yeah, I know where you exactly where you're talking about, where
yeah,
you can get like 9X extra long. Yeah.
yeah. Hurry up and buy. I'm wearing
Hurry
like,
up and buy.
yeah, but I like the heaviness of like shirts and stuff like that. I prefer heavy clothes for some reason, but I'm down with that. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, because me and you, back to that gear thing, me and you've talked about that a lot because you've been more on the budget thing as far as all around for a long time. And like I said, I was on the now, not that I was like a prick about uh having to have something extremely expensive, because we both got really burnt out on the whole YouTube slash Facebook tactical community over that bullshit a long time ago. Because if you weren't sporting a $3,500 rifle, you want your family to die.
Yeah,
Idiotic fucking morons. Um, just as good really is a thing for certain intents and purposes. I've never owned a high point. I never plan on owning a high point. But if
right,
if if hey, if it goes pop when you pull the trigger and you can hit what you're aiming at, that's all that a $3,500 Nighthawk custom can do.
right,
Neither one of them's going to cup your balls. Neither one of them, and even saying like, well, the one is worth more if you want to sell it. Well, you know what? I've sold some extremely expensive shit. Go find somebody to buy it.
right.
You
Oh,
know.
I remember you telling me when you put a bunch of rifles down at Ozark Sportsman, and you were like, "These motherfuckers won't even sell."
Oh, dude. Hey, you know, I had an NDM 86 and 308 that had never been shot. Norinco only imported like a 1,500 of these or something before the government shut down those Chinese imports. And I got in a bad way, and I ended up selling that, a Daniel Defense M4A1 and a Yugo OPAP, um, for less than what I paid for the for that uh, Indium 86. So tell me, dude, I have paid out the nose and then sold for nothing because for whatever reason I needed to liquidate it, and just coming by other people with money that can afford to buy the shit. It doesn't matter how cool it is or what is on it. If there are not people in the neighborhood with the dollars to buy it off of you, then it doesn't matter what it's worth.
Right.
I heard something. What's that? I didn't hear you.
Modern frontierman asked, "What's your channel's name?"
Maneater of Savo. Savo is TSAVO.
And there's going to be a variety of shit on there.
Yeah, once I get it going, like I said, I want to do fun stuff. I want to do shit that makes me laugh. I've got some ideas for some pretty ridiculous things. You know, uh, just because, like I said, the comedy makes the shit sandwiches go down easier, and that's why, honestly, I think r- that's one of the differences that I've noticed between really squared away people and people that want people to think they're squared away. People that want people to think a certain way about them take themselves very seriously and get very upset when other people do not take them just as serious. And really squared away, capable individuals don't take themselves generally that serious unless the situation calls for it, and they just want to joke and have a good time
Right.
because they know serious shit pops up, you get serious, you handle it, and then let's just like hang out and tell jokes after that, you know.
Right.
um yeah, so yeah, I think the stuff that makes me laugh is the stuff I'm gonna be going with, and of course if I get any good ideas from anybody else, then I'm down with that too.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about trying to build the bushcraft camp and do some
Yeah, absolutely, because I've never done anything like that, but I think it would be a lot of fun.
right. I've done plenty of the bushcrafting stuff, and I probably shouldn't have deleted all of my early videos because I had videos of camp builds and stuff. I just haven't, made better quality ones since
Like
I
the Taborosaurus Rex Sniper 101, where there was like, I don't know how many videos that he had on there, and they may still be there. But I mean, there's a comprehensive course. I think every one of those videos was like 40 minutes or something long on every single aspect of sniping, from ranging with your MOA or milliradian reticle all the way to differences in glass, ocular vignetting, and different things that have aspects of your optic and different stuff like that. And so you had like a something similar, like a backlog of stuff like that, like that level of like building the like bushcrafting and stuff like
I
that you deleted.
that original camp I built at the farm, I had all that shit up. Dude, I have went through over the years and like culled out like over 100 videos that I wish I had just made private, and I probably could have like reworked them as far as editing better and stuff because they were freaking shit sandwiches, But like there was still some cool salvageable stuff. But
Right.
yeah, Sam Russell, he is local to you and me, and we can chat about that later. Sam's a
Yeah.
local man.
Cool. I like locals.
Yeah, he was asking if you were local, and you're local.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, but yeah, I wish I hadn't done as deep of a cleanse on my channel. I just wish I had privated stuff, and even just made shorts out of it or whatever.
Right.
That seems to
Yeah,
be
and
circulation.
I just don't have anything on my channel yet, except for one short. But I guess I need to do a review on that thing. The old Pack Golok I put the Skinner grip on.
Yeah, do that, and then shit, man. You got all the tools in the world. You got all the knowledge in the world, man. Just start sharing practical freaking shit that you want to do. I mean, you're just going to be authentic about it, and do what you want to do. The right people will show up, and the wrong people will screw off and go into the sunset. It's just the way it is,
Right. Yeah, I'm not for everybody. That's for sure. And I know that right off the bat. So, uh,
and that's probably a good thing. At least you're just going to be yourself. Trying to appeal
for
to
sure.
who stand for nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, and that's like, okay, that's like that brings up a good point. This was during COVID, and Arkansas was pretty locked down at the time. You can't do anything without a mask. And again, we weren't participating, so we weren't doing shit. We weren't putting on a mask. You're not going to make us. We're not getting the shot. You're not going to make us do that either. And we had this is the first time I think we had been down into Arkansas. We were doing our farming thing, and we were out of animals at the time, so so we went to go take the kids to do. I don't even think my daughter was born yet. I think it was just my son, and we went to Turpentine Creek down in where's that? Eureka Springs Tiger Refuge. Not like GW Zoo, dude. I would have went and saw Joe Exotic. I'd have bought season passes to that fucking place. I think the world comes down to people that would go see Joe Exotic and people that wouldn't. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so we go to this place as something to do, because we always took them to the zoo and stuff like that. Great. Um, okay, and we get up there, and that lady at the gate says, "You have to wear a mask." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you're too close to the tigers." And I said, "Adios. We'll find something else to do." And we turn around and walk out. My son goes, "Dad, why do we have to leave?" Because of course, we just our on the farm, our work week typically consists of like 50 or 60 days in a row before we get a few days off. Okay. And so he's like, "Why do we have to leave?" And I said, "Son, this is it's you have to stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't have the legs to stand up for the small things, you will never have the legs to stand up against the big things. So you actually believe what you say, or you don't. And if you do, you have to stand up for that every time, even when it's little bitty. Because if we make a concession so that we can go look at cats today, then we might make a concession so we can do something a little bit different tomorrow.
Right.
And then you can finally make concessions until it's all just lip service and bullshit, and you're like half of the people on the internet that say one thing and do another. That's why we have to leave.
I my life about something, and they're never anything that I can look back on and respect myself about. So yeah, you're 1,000% right on that.
Yeah.
But the way things are panning out as far as just the country, I think that we're going to have people that are willing to stand resolute on the small shit, because that's what's going. I think that's what's going to allow people to click up and recognize, okay, that guy's real. He's not going to be fucking around. That's maybe somebody I need to know. You know, it's
Right. Well, okay. Okay, me and you have gone over the years. We have gone through these little spurts of trying to piece together a small group of people that are at least somewhat like-minded and not entirely full of shit, and that is incredibly hard. Because here's the
repent.
thing, because here's the thing, somebody might look the part, or they might be two-thirds of the equation, but uh they're not all the way there with who they are.
Right,
Okay. And I'm not interested in putting my safety or my family's safety in the hands of somebody that has a lot of cool tactical looking shit, but I'll even go as far as faith. If you don't have the same, or at least if you're not in the same neighborhood here, I'd have a hard time, because you know if I'm doing things, if I'm willing to go a certain route because of my faith, and you don't even believe in that shit, then when hard times come leaning on you, you might be willing to toss me right under the bus, because after all, you don't even believe in the shit that I'm saying,
right,
or the shit that I'm doing this for.
right. And as far as like the faith aspect, like I can be critical of a lot of things, but like when it comes down to it, if these are devout people that take it seriously, I can fellowship with a shalomer and a,
Oh, dude.
but I'm gonna disagree on the things that they want to insist at some point. But as far as the shit in between, if we can agree on the basics and maybe learn to either respectfully disagree or just not talk about it, and still be a community, I'm cool with that. But like,
Right.
yeah,
And yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess that's, I don't mean that a person has to believe every letter that I believe. You
right,
know, I guess what it really comes down to is that that they're that they believe the stuff that they say too.
right,
Because if you don't even believe what you say, then I mean, even if, like I said, we can be on somewhat opposite ends of things, but do you even believe the shit that you say, or do you really not? And this is just window dressing for some greater thing you're putting on, facade for of what you're putting on.
yeah. Sam Russell wrote, he's like, if we agree on Jesus, we're on the same team. And yeah, that's pretty much the baseline that I'm at. You know, Jesus is really the essential thing for me as far as like viewing somebody as a brother in Christ. You
Right.
know, so
Right. Right.
now there can be a wide swath of everything else. You know, but
Yeah.
beyond that,
Right.
see here, what do we got in the comment section here? Who's ready to go Nephilim hunting, dude? It's funny because I told somebody the other day, I was like, if you can believe that Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead, you can also believe that the Nephilim were on the earth before the flood and after, as the Bible said. And you should take that seriously with how the world is shaping up. I think there's
Oh
something
yeah.
with that still.
Right. Well, and see, and that's the thing. That's our greatest equalizer as human beings on planet Earth is knowing that what he says is true. Okay. And so, yeah, if you believe in the death, burial and resurrection, then I don't see where it's plumb out of the stratosphere to believe in the other stuff too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, I remember, and this was, I'm not going to say his name because you know him, and hell, he might be watching. He's a good dude, but I can remember a time where he was like this dude walked up to me and was like, "Well, you believe Jesus, but I mean, do you believe the whole resurrection part?" It's like, if I don't believe the resurrection, then I don't believe Jesus. Okay, so like I believe that's a real thing and really happened. Now,
Yeah.
no caveats. I believe it.
Yeah.
So that's and
Absolutely.
he looked wild eyed at me, but it was like 5 years later he messaged me and he eventually came to faith. And I wasn't fake with him. I still drop f bombs more than I feel like I should. I That's one of those things that I feel conviction about for some reason. But like I just try to be authentic, even if I'm fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
gonna be
Hey,
real.
dude, hey, all of the greatest men of the Bible, they were counted righteous for their faith, not righteous for their faith and they didn't cuss.
Ex-
Righteous for their faith and they didn't look at girls in skirts. Righteous for their faith and it was righteous for their faith.
exactly, and I'm
And
just I
that was
yeah,
pre, that was pre the grace of Christ, you know.
right. Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying I feel like as far as like my faith, I do try to live out things that I feel convicted about. Uh, it's not a salvation issue. It's just
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
listening to conviction, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's that's one thing I try really, really hard to pay attention to that conviction. Sometimes it's acting in a manner that I might not typically act in or whatever, but if I feel conviction for this thing, then I will definitely see. And that's why like I don't get the cookie cutter uh uh you know uh the cookie cutter preacher approach with here's something I see a lot of is it seems like dudes or people that want to make like Christian content on YouTube or Facebook, and what it really amounts to is in a roundabout way, I'm doing the things, whatever the things are, and you, sir, are not doing the things.
right? Yeah, there's a
Listening to them talk, you don't feel convicted, you feel condemned because after all, whatever these things are, I must not be doing all the things like they're doing all of the things,
right.
when I think, the one thing that the Christianity is your personal relationship with God, not your personal relationship gate kept by this guy
Right.
and what he thinks
Not a
about it.
child to a parent. It's a child to a parent relation.
Absolutely. And I've even heard people that I would typically respect that would say that it's not exactly like that, but that is how the man himself represented himself to me as an adult. And if that's how dad approached me and told me it is, then it doesn't matter what somebody else says. you know?
And maybe the imagery is going to be different that God uses to connect with somebody with a different,
Sure.
you know, but
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
the Bible says the same thing. The Bible's pointing to one thing and it says the same thing over and over and over through typology, but the message is always the same. It's one message said 5,000 different ways, you
Yeah.
know. And so, we have a lot of the inner workings of personality or personal interaction that God sort of well, God, the ideas were God's whole creation of man and how we interact and all that came from God. So it makes sense that He's using it throughout Scripture to show how we relate to Him in the same way that we relate to one another. It's
Right, and I think that's where sonship actually comes from versus, just, God is this, this all-powerful, whatever that's off in the distance watching, and maybe, maybe he interacts and maybe he doesn't versus, actually knowing him as, that's my dad. Hey, bless anybody with a great earth dad. I have one. That wasn't for me, evidently. But I wouldn't trade my heavenly dad for 10 earth dads. Hey, if you got both, then you're a blessed dude.
right. Yeah. I mean, and as far as things go with that, I mean, it's easy to give a we've had this conversation. I'm not going to say too much, but it's easy to give an earthly failing man who didn't understand God a bad rap when he didn't even know any better most of the time. You know.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
man, honestly, we're at like a little over an hour, and I have to piss like a racehorse.
Yeah.
Or we could probably end this one and try to we'll brainstorm and try to do this more often.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Come up with some talking points so maybe I won't just keep hammering the same thing over and over again
yeah, no,
for an
it
hour.
flowed nicely. Apparently, 15 people decided to stay and watch. So,
Right.
yeah, I think
Hey, and you know what? Maybe more than 5 of them aren't feds.
yeah, some of these dudes that I've had contact with. And
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't put his channel in the description of the live yet, but I'll tag your channel in there. So if
Okay,
you
cool.
go sub to him, there'll be more stuff coming down the pike, and you can find the link to his channel here shortly after this uploads. I don't know if it's going to take 2 hours to do that. Seems like after I end a live, it takes forever for it to completely upload or whatever. But I'll try
Yeah,
and link to my brother's channel in the description so that you guys can find your way over there if you so desire. So,
cool,
with,
cool.
I guess we'll end this. Do you have anything else? Any parting words?
Oh, no, man, just, I don't know, find something to laugh at.
Right? We'll provide that as often as possible here.
As often as possible.
Yeah. So we're gonna cut this off, and we'll catch y'all later.
Yep.